Eva sat on the edge of her bed, telephone in hand. She'd postponed this call for weeks, but tonight she was ready. She spent that morning at Poppy's while Lena ran errands. Poppy asked her if she remembered her father. She assured her grandfather she did, but there was actually very little about Solomon that she really recalled. He mentioned the trip from Florida all those summers ago, and that got her to thinking. She served her grandfather his lunch and set Viva beside Poppy, but now, several hours later, she pondered that drive back to Michigan. In the kitchen, she poured herself a huge glass of red wine and brought it to the bedroom. Nervously, she dialed Irene's number. When her mother answered, Eva skipped the small talk. She cut right to it. Why did you leave Lena and I with Poppy when he brought us back here? Why did you give up on us? It took every ounce of resolve not to let her voice give way as she spoke. Irene sighed. Oh, Eva, I didn't give up. I had no way to come get you. I don't know what to say. Did you know he was coming? He told us that you agreed it was best for us to come with him. Irene paused. No, I had no idea. I knew he'd eventually figure out where we were, but I didn't know he was coming. Eva fidgeted, her thumb flicking against the plastic antenna on the cordless phone. So, what did you think when we were gone? I realized what happened. Not immediately, of course. I came home late from work that night and I found the apartment dark, empty. Then I found the note. Eva did not know there was a note. She eavesdropped on secret conversations many, many years before and thought there had been money, but she knew nothing about a note. Was Poppy's note with the money? She tried not to sound accusatory and failed. Irene admitted, yes, he left a check with the note, but the check was dated for a year later. I couldn't cash that money. I couldn't get to Detroit. Eva was taken aback, her hands trembling. She had no idea about this and doubted Lena knew either. The note wasn't from Poppy, by the way. It was from Beatrice. She wrote that she'd been robbed of the chance to grow old watching her son live his life, and that I was being selfish in robbing them of the chance to see their granddaughters grow up too. That was the worst night, Eva. I arrived to find that note after having car trouble. You remember the old wagon? The transmission blew that evening, halfway home from work on the freeway. I was barely able to pull over onto the shoulder and had to walk up the exit ramp to find a gas station, a payphone. Eva's hand was poised around the glass on the bedstand, waiting. She knew none of this story. What did you do? She forgot about her own agenda, waiting to hear her mother's explanation. I walked. It was already dark outside, and I had about $40 in my pocket. If I used that money to call a tow truck, then I wouldn't have enough for groceries the next day. I knew we were out of everything. So I walked about 2 miles until I found a payphone, and I called one of my girlfriends, a gal I worked with. She was having friends over to dinner and couldn't come, so she called my manager, and he sent a busboy or somebody to pick me up. It was well after midnight when I finally arrived, only to find my daughters gone. Forgive me for saying this, but I didn't even cry. I was past crying at that point. Eva, I loved your father very much, and it took every ounce of my being just to survive after he died. It took as much strength to get myself together after you girls left. I had $40 in cash, a dump of an apartment that I had to surrender in less than a month, a horrible job, and a broken down car. And then my girls were gone. Everything that I'd been fighting and scrimping for was gone, and I couldn't cash that check from your grandfather. I couldn't even see my children for more than a year. What then? Then you and Lena said you didn't want to come back to Florida. I never abandoned you, but I accepted your choice. I've never held it over your heads. Eva burst out sobbing, a terrible and hoarse cry. She remembered way back standing in Bibi's sitting room while her sister told Irene they should stay and finish the school year. She could not remember disagreeing. Eva never understood how painful it was for her mother to lose everything she loved in such a small amount of time. or how unbearable it would have been to watch her children being raised by someone else, living in another person's house, and then to reject her. As they talked through the night, they fixed something that seemed broken for decades. Eva felt a sense of forgiveness for the woman that she thought had tossed her aside, a woman she once judged harshly, but now felt compassion for. Irene, concurrently, might never fully understand her younger daughter's choices, but that spring evening she began to see her as a woman and as a good mother. That was all she wanted for Eva. The next day, Eva called Abraham. They had continued to see one another during the months leading up to the grand jury and since Poppy's heart attack, but the relationship had been waning the past several weeks. Both were overwhelmed with life and work responsibilities. They met that afternoon at Belle Isle, at the children's petting zoo. Eva had Viva, and Abraham brought his 2 young nephews. They watched the children race ahead, eager to feed the baby goats. Abraham's older nephew pushing Viva in her stroller. Later they sat together inside the circle of the moon, where everyone used to have their photos taken, watching the kids devour cotton candy. Eva looked at Abraham and lamented, "Abe, it's been so much fun spending this time with you. I'm afraid I'm just not up to going any further." She smiled, but her eyes were wet and downcast. "I'm sorry," she murmured. He reached forward to take her hand, squeezing her fingers lightly. "I'm not sorry, but I do understand." As they ended their outing, the kids tuckered out, Eva and Abraham embraced one another warmly in the parking lot. They walked to their respective cars, waved goodbye, each holding the sticky, sugary hand of a child.